Today I want to talk to you about something that has been called the eighth wonder of the world, and that is compound interest, and understanding compound interest and understanding how it can make you rich. Albert Einstein referred to compound interest as the eighth wonder of the world, and he says those who understand it will earn from it, and those who don't will pay it. So what exactly is compound interest? How does it work? And how, in fact, can it make you rich? So let's take a look. To understand compound interest, what is simple interest and what is compound interest and how do they work? So let me give you an illustration. This is simple interest. We're going to take an example of $1,000 and it's at an interest rate of 5%, 5% annually. So for the first year at 5% on $1,000, you will have earned. Second year, same thing. 5% on $1,000, you would have earned $50. The third year, again, it's 5% on $1,000, you would have earned another $50, which means that over the first 3 years of the savings, you would have earned a total of $150. That's simple interest. Now let's take a look at compound interest and let's see what the difference is. Now, simple interest is interest on the beginning balance. In our case, it was $1,000, so it was 5% against $1,000 every year. But with compound interest, it's actually interest on interest. And let me show you what I mean. Again, the same example, $1,000, it's at 5% interest, but this time it's compounded interest. So here's what that means. In year one, we'll earn $50. That's $1,000 at 5%, $50. But in year two, we're going to calculate interest not on $1,000, but $1,000 plus the $50 that we earned interest on before. So now we're going to earn 5% interest on $1,050. So that year, in year number two, we will earn $52.50 interest, which will be added to our balance. So now our balance is 1,000 plus 50 plus 52.50 or $1,102, and we're going to earn in year number three 5% on that money. So in year number three, we're going to earn $55.13, which is 5% interest on 1102.50, which is the accumulated balance from the first 2 years interest plus our initial deposit. So we will have earned a total over 3 years of $157.63. And if you recall, with the simple interest, we earned $150. So simple interest in this example would have earned us an additional $7.63. Now, that may not seem like a whole lot of money and may be worth the hassle, whatever that hassle may be. So let me show you what happens over time and why compound interest is so crucial to your wealth building. We're going to take some very simple examples just to see what happened here. So we're going to call this the effect of compound interest. And here's our first example. We're going to make a monthly deposit of $25 into an account that bears interest, that pays us interest. Total of $25 a month, 40-year period. So we're going to take somebody who's 25 years old and he wants to save for retirement so that when he's 65 years old, he'll have some money upon which to live. So the balance of this $25 a month for 40 years, at the end of 40 years, he will have $38,436 accumulated in that account as a sum total of all his deposits plus the compound interest. Now, he will have deposited $25 a month for 40 years, which is a total of $12,000. He would have deposited $12,000, but he would have ended up with $38,436, which means he would have made an additional $26,000, which is double what he initially put in. So his his savings account actually grew by 200% over what he initially put in. And that's at 5% compounded. This is compounded every single month. And there's a difference, which I'll explain. That's at $25 a month. Let's up the ante a little bit. Let's take the exact same example, but this time he's going to deposit $100 a month. Now, $25 a month is not a whole lot of money to deposit. Most people won't miss it. As a matter of fact, if you buy a cup of coffee every single day in a month, it'll cost you more than $25. And I'm not even talking about an expensive cup of coffee like a Starbucks. I'm talking like at 7-Eleven. It'll still cost you more than $25. So there is money to be had to be put away. Now, let's say we do it at $100 a month. We're going to up the ante a little bit. Same interest rate, 5%, compounded monthly, and we're going to do it for 40 years again. Every month from the age 25 to 65, he's going to put $100 away at 5% compounded. So at the end of 40 years, he will have $153,000, $153,745. Over the 40-year period, his $100 a month, $48,000. So he actually paid in $48,000 at a rate of $100 a month, and he earned $153 and change, which means he actually earned $105,000 on his money, which is more than double again what he put in. So you can now start to see the effect of compound interest and how it can just build over time. Now, everybody's talking today about passive income. There is no income that is more passive than this. You put the money into an account and you forget about it. You don't have to ever touch it for 40 years. And this is what happens. Let's take it up another notch just to show you something, the power of compound interest and how it can really build your wealth. So instead now we're going to change it. We're going to go back to our $25 a month deposit. But this time we're going to change the interest rate to 7%. This is simply a 2% increase in interest rate over 40 years. He's going to put the money away for 40 years. What does he have at the end of 40 years? He now has $66,497. As you recall, initially at 5%, he had $38,000. Now he has an additional almost $30,000 because of a 2% difference in the interest rate. He will have paid in $12,000. Again, $25 a month for 40 years is $12,000, and he would have had an increase in value of $54,397, which is more than 4 times what he put in. And that's at 7% interest. This is simply a 2% increase in the interest rate. And to our example, now it's $100 a month for 40 years. It's 7% interest instead of the initial 5% that we used. It's a 40-year period. He's putting $100 a month away, and it's only a difference of 2%. Well, at the end of 40 years, he's going to have $265,600 approximately put away, which will have cost him $48,000 over 40 years. He would have netted a gain of $217,000. Again, more than 4 times what he put in. That's the magic of compound interest. That's at $100 a month. Now, could you imagine if you could afford $100 a week, how much that would be? I don't have the calculation, but you can see here the numbers really grow because of compound interest. So, compound interest really depends on a number of factors, and here are the factors. The first factor is the amount of money deposited. In our example, we had either $25 a month or $100 a month. Depending on how much you can put in, the more you put in on a regular basis, on a consistent basis, the more it will grow over time. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. As it rolls down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you start with a small snowball, it'll grow less. And when time it gets to the bottom of the hill, it'll be a nice sized snowball. But if you start with a big snowball, by the time it gets to the bottom of the hill, you're going to have a very large snowball. So it's the same thing here with the amount of money you put in. It also depends on the frequency of the deposit. Now, in our example, we put the money in every month. You could put the money in annually, you could put it in weekly, you could put it in every 6 months. It depends on what you're comfortable with. But the more frequently you put the money in, it will grow more. For example, if you put the money in once a year as opposed to every month, in other words, he put in $25 a month, which is $300 a year. If he puts the money in at $25 a month, it will grow faster than if he puts in $300 once a year, because you're building upon that interest every month and you're compounding, which is what you want to take advantage of. You want to take advantage of the compounding. So that's the frequency of the deposit. Obviously, it depends on the interest rate. Obviously, the higher the rate, the more your return is going to be. It depends on the frequency of compounding. Now, you can get compounding where sometimes you'll have an annual compounding. You'll also have compounding that could be monthly. And there are even accounts where you can have compounding daily, where it compounds every single day on the balance at the end of the day. Obviously, the more frequent the compounding, the more you're going to make as well, because again, you're building on growth. It grows faster, and you're building on that faster growth. And then finally, the last thing is the term, or the length of time that you do this. Our example, we used 40 years. So that's a nice long period of time. If you do it for 10 years, you can still get the advantage of compounding. It's just that you have less time in which to grow, so it'll grow less. But the longer you do it for, obviously, the more money you'll make. So you're better off, especially for a young person, as early as you can in your career to start putting this money away. But either way you look at it, compounding of interest is a very simple way to create passive income. And over the long term, you can see how beneficial this can be to you. So, and remember, the earlier you start to be, because you're going to take advantage of a length of time. So if you'd like to start on this now, my to you would be either check with a broker or find yourself a local bank that's paying a high rate of interest and begin doing this, and you will never regret it. When you turn around in 40 years, you're going to have a nice nest egg waiting for you. Best of luck, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.